morning, students. Today I am going to start a new chapter, and the title of that chapter is Indigo, and the author is Louis Fisher, who was born in Philadelphia, and he served as a volunteer in British Army between 1980 to 1920. He made a career as a journalist and wrote for New York Times, the Times, that is the Saturday Review, and for European and Asian publications. He was also a member of faculty of Princeton University, and following is an excerpt from his book, The Life of Mahatma Gandhi. That's the book that he has written, and this chapter Indigo is taken from this book. The book has been reviewed as one of the best books ever written on Gandhiji by Times Educational Supplement. Now it is called the best book all around during his time by the Times Educational Supplement. Okay. Now let me tell you what is the story is about. The story is based on the interview that is taken by Louis Fisher of Mahatma Gandhi, and in order to write on Gandhiji, he had visited him in 1942 at his ashram, and the ashram's name is Sevagram, where he was told about the Indigo movement. Now, this is the title which is given to the chapter also, that is the Indigo. That is a movement which was started by Gandhiji, and the story revolves around the struggle of Gandhi and other prominent leaders who have helped him in this movement. Now, for what this Indigo movement is? This Indigo movement is in order to safeguard the sharecropper from the atrocities of the landlord. So here, let's start the line by line explanation. Okay. Now here the writer is talking about his visit at Gandhi at Ashram Sevagram. So let's start. When I first visited Gandhi in 1942 at his Ashram Sevagram in central India. In central India there is one ashram and he met him in 1942. He said, I will let you how it happened that I decided to urge the departure of the British. It was in 1917, right? 1917, though he is from British, and he said that I will tell you how it happened. That the Gandhiji will tell you that how this indigo movement was happened to you. Okay, so he was agreed for the interview. He had gone to the December 1960 annual convention of the Indian National Congress Party in Lucknow. Now, he went to the December 1960. There was the convention. Convention means the agreement of the Indian Congress Party in Lucknow. There were 2,301 delegates. Delegates means representatives, and many visitors were there in this convention. And during the proceeding, Gandhi was recounting in this party. A peasant came up to me looking like any other peasant in India. Now, Gandhiji was describing that how this Indigo movement was started. When he went to the Lucknow for this Congress meeting, he was attended by one peasant. Peasant means poor farmer, right? That is a farmer, you can say that. Came up to me. He was looking just like other peasant in India. जैसे दूसरे farmer से वैसे ही दिख रहा था. Poor and emancipated. Emancipated means thin, right? Patla बहुत because of the malnourishment. Okay, and said, I am Rajkumar Shukla. Now here that is the person who is a peasant, and he went to meet Gandhiji, and he said that I am Rajkumar Shukla. I am for Champaran. Champaran is a place in Bihar, and I want you to come to my district, and I am expecting you that you please come to my district Champaran at Bihar. Gandhi had never heard of the place. Now Gandhiji was not knowing about the place Champaran. It was in the foothills of the towering Himalayas near the kingdom of Nepal. Now, where is it situated? It is at the foothills of the Himalayas, so nobody was knowing about this place. Under an ancient arrangement, the Champaran peasants were sharecroppers. Now, what is sharecroppers? Means a tenant farmer who gives a part of each crop as rent. Now, when you are giving the sharecropper means you are giving the crops on a rent. That is, the peasants were doing the business like this. Rajkumar Sukla was one of them, and Rajkumar Sukla was one of the sharecroppers. He was illiterate but resolute. Resolute means determined. He was illiterate but he was very determined to his work. He had come to the Congress session to complain about the injustice of the landlord system in Bihar, and somebody had probably said, "Speak to Gandhi." Now, here in this meeting or in this session, Congress session, he came here for complaining the injustice was done by the landlords to the sharecroppers. That is why, and somebody has recommended that you just go and speak to Gandhi. That's why Gandhi spoke to, so that's why Sukla spoke to Gandhi. Gandhi told Sukla he had an appointment in Kanpur and was also committed to go to the other parts of India. Now Gandhiji was very busy, so he said that Kanpur, that is the name of the city of Kanpur. Kanpur, that is the name which was given by the Kanpur, right? This is the pronunciation was given by the Britishers. So he was saying that I had an appointment to go to this city and also committed. Committed means I had dedicated my time to the other parts of India. Shukla accompanied him everywhere. Now Shukla accompanied. Accompanies means go somewhere with someone as a companion or escort. Now Shukla went everywhere wherever he was going. Then Gandhi returned to his ashram near Ahmedabad, and then when Gandhiji came to ashram near Ahmedabad, Shukla followed him to ashram. He was also followed him to ashram. 4 weeks he never left Gandhi's side. Now 4 weeks he was side by side to the Gandhiji. Fix a date, he begged, and he was saying that please Gandhiji fix a date for this for the visit of the Champaran. Impressed by the sharecropper's tenacity and story, Gandhiji said, I have to be in Kolkata in such and such a date. Now, he was very much impressed by the determination of the Sukla, that is the sharecropper, and he said that don't worry, that he had to be in Calcutta such and such a day. So come and meet me and take me from there. And he said that you just come to Calcutta and then from there you can take me to Chaparan. Months passed. Shukla was sitting on his haunches at the appointment spot in Kolkata when Gandhi arrived. Haunches means thighs. Now he was sitting there for the waiting of Gandhiji to get the appointment and waiting for the Gandhiji's arrival. He waited till Gandhi was free and was waiting when the Gandhiji will get free. Then the two of them boarded train for the city of Patna in Bihar. Now that two means Shukla and Gandhiji took the train to go to the Patna in Bihar. Then Shukla led him to the house of the lawyer. Now then they took him. Then Shukla took him Gandhiji to one lawyer's house and whose name is Rajendra Prasad, and this is the same that who is the president of Congress party and the first president of India. Rajendra Prasad, that is the lawyer who later became the president of Congress party and of India. Rajendra Prasad was out of town, and that time when Gandhiji went there, he was out of town. But the servants knew Shukla as a poor Yaman. Yaman means a man who cultivates a small piece of land. But the servants of Rajendra Prasad was saying that he was a poor farmer who pestered their master to have the indigo shop. So he was very harassed by the landlords to have the indigo sharecroppers, and that's why everybody was knowing that he was working for the sharecroppers. Okay, so they let him stay on the grounds with his companion. So the servants allowed them to stay there, and Gandhiji, whom they took be another pleasant, right? So Gandhiji ko, the servants was thinking that the Gandhiji was another pleasant because he came with this Sukla. But Gandhiji was not permitted to draw water from the well, lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. Now, permitted means he was not allowed to draw some water from the well, lest some drops from his bucket pollute the entire source. Now, otherwise, he can pollute everything because they are thinking that he is just like a present of Sukla. How did they know that he was not an untouchable? Now, nobody was thinking that he is the untouchable because we know the discrimination towards the untouchability and towards the untouchable people. Gandhiji decided to go to first Muzaffarpur. Now he wanted to go to Muzaffarpur, which was en route to Champaran. En route means on the way to Champaran. Champaran के en route में आता है, on the way आता है. To obtain more complete information about conditions that Sukla was capable of imparting. Now, what the Sukla was saying that he would like to know about more completely, right? Completely उसको जानना था कि what is the exact the situation is. He accordingly sent a telegram to Professor J.B. Kripalani of the Arts College in Muzaffarpur, whom he had seen at Tagore Santiniketan School. Now, Gandhiji sent one telegram and one post to J.B. Kripalani. That who is J.B. Kripalani? Who is the professor in Arts College in Muzaffarpur, and where he met? He met him at Tagore Santiniketan School. So from there, Gandhiji was knowing this professor. The train arrived at midnight, 15th April 1970. Now, this is the date, and midnight the train arrived. Kripalani was waiting at the station with a large body of students. Now, Kripalani was waiting for Gandhiji. Gandhiji stayed for 2 days in the home of Professor Malkani, a teacher in government school. Now, he was also stayed at this professor's house and for 2 days. It was an extraordinary thing in those days. Gandhi commented. Gandhiji was that those days are extraordinary because we know that there are the pressure of Britishers and people were afraid of the Britishers also. For a government professor to harbor a man like me in smaller localities, the Indians were afraid to show sympathy for advocates of home rule. Now I told you that people were very afraid of the people also, and smaller locality the people were around that they are also afraid to show sympathy for the advocates and for others also. The news of Gandhi's advent and of the nature of his mission spread quickly through Muzaffarpur and to Champaran. Now, the news of Gandhi's coming over there as well as his mission, that why he came to Muzaffarpur and Champaran, was spread quickly near the city, right? Sharecroppers from Champaran began arriving on foot and by conveyance to see their champions. Now, the other the sharecroppers like Sukla, they also came to meet Gandhiji by on foot, and they also trying to convey that and want to see that who is the champion of this sharecroppers. The Muzaffarpur lawyers called on Gandhi to brief him. They frequently represented peasant group in court. Now, Gandhi asked to these lawyers of Muzaffarpur and told them that what is the exact situation, and they represented peasant group in the court. They told him about their cases and reported a size of their fees. Every group was talking about that what are their problems, and they reported it. Gandhi cheated the lawyer for collecting big fee from the sharecroppers. Now Gandhiji was very angry on the lawyers that they are getting too much fees for collecting too much fees from this poor sharecropper. He said, I have come to the conclusion that we should stop going to law courts. Now we are not going to in a courts because if we are going in a court, then you have to pay high fees. So he said that we are going to stop to go in a court. Taking such cases to the courts does little good. Now, if you are taking this type of cases in the court, they are not doing good to the sharecroppers, where the peasants are so crushed and fear-stricken, and law courts are useless. Now, here the condition of the peasants or sharecroppers are very poor, and they are very afraid of even laws. And this laws courts are useless for them. The real belief for them is to be free from fear. Now, the main importance of the law is that to be free from the fear of the law and the court. Most of the arable land Most of the arable land in the Champaran district was divided into estates owned by Englishmen and worked by Indian tenants. Now, if we are talking about that, who are the landlords of this properties, right? That peasants, they are mostly Englishmen and Indian tenants. Tenants to थे उनके ही ये lands थी. The chief commercial crop was indigo. Now that main commercial crop contract, that is the indigo, and the landlords compelled all tenants to plant 3/20th or 15% of their holding with indigo and surrender the entire indigo harvest as rent. Now, what is their problem that they have to surrender the entire harvest of indigo as a rent to the landlord, those who are Englishmen and Indian tenants. So this is very ridiculous and very poor and to these this peasants. This was done by long-term contract, and this was done from many times and from long-term contract जो sign करवाते थे. Presently, the landlords learned that Germany had developed synthetic indigo. They thereupon obtained agreements from the sharecroppers to pay them compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. Now, here the landlords were knowing about that what Germany was doing on the synthetic indigo, and what was the agreement of the Germany with the sharecroppers was that they have to either pay the compensation for being released from the 15% arrangement. The sharecropping arrangement was irksome so to the peasants, and many signed willingly. Those who were resisted engaged lawyers. Uh, Now they have to, that the sharecroppers, they have to sign this long-term contract. Otherwise, this landlord will throw you into the engage. They will be engaged in the court and the lawyer, because you know that how the situation or to go in a court, and the cases are pending from many times, and they have to go in a court day by day, and they are wasting their time and money, and they have to pay the fees. So by willingly or unwillingly and by forcefully, they have to sign this long-term court contract to avoid going to in a court. The landlords hired thugs. Thugs means that is people that who are beating or who are making forcing the sharecroppers to sign the contract. Meanwhile, the information about synthetic indigo reached the illiterate peasants who had signed, and they wanted their money back. And in between, the illiterate peasant, because they don't know where they are signing, so that time they understand about the reality of landlords, and they came to the landlords, and they are saying that we want our money back. At this point, Gandhi arrived in Champaran. Now here, this time Gandhi arrived, and this is the right situation when Gandhi entered into the Champaran. He began by trying to get the facts. Now he was unaware about the what is the exact situation is. So he started knowing that what is the exact fact is. First, he visited the secretary of the British Landlords Association. Now he is a lawyer, so he knows everything. So he went to meet this landlord British Association. The secretary told him that they could give no information to outsiders. Now he said that we are not allowed to give any information to Gandhiji because he is outsider. Gandhiji answered that he was not no outsider, and that time Gandhiji said, "I am not outsider, I am insider." Next, Gandhiji called on the British Official Commission of the Tirhut division in which the Champaran district lay. Now, this district जो division में आता है, that was the Tirhut. वहाँ के जो ब्रिटिश ऑफिसर कमिश्नर है उन्होंने गांधी जी को बुलाया. The commissioner Gandhi reports proceeding to bully me and advise me forthwith to leave Tirut. Now that time that in this report and in this meeting he was told to leave the district as soon as possible, or he was advised. Gandhi did not leave, but we know the Gandhiji, and he did not leave. Instead, he proceeded to Motihari. Now, instead of leaving the Tirhut, he proceeding another district, that is Motihari, a capital of Champaran. Now, which is the capital of Champaran. Several lawyers accompanied him. Now, so my other lawyers who are good, they are also accompanying him. At the railway station, a vast multitude greeted Gandhiji, and at the railway station, many people and you can say the peasants and the lawyers greeted Gandhiji at the railway station. He went to a house and using it as a headquarters continued his investigation. Now एक घर में गए and they have started investigating the situation. A report came in that a peasant had been maltreated in a nearby village, and in that investigation came to know that the peasant had been maltreated by the landlords, and not only in Chaparan but nearby village also. Gandhi decided to go and see the next morning. Now he would like to see the fact. He started out on the back of an elephant, and he take the ride of an elephant. He had not proceeded far when the police superintendent's messenger overtook him and ordered him to go. Now he was just very near, and he was ordered by the superintendent's messenger that you have to return to town, to go to town in his carriage. Now you have to go back in his carriage, and Gandhi complied, and Gandhi says that no. The messenger drove Gandhi home where he served him with an official notice to quit Champaran immediately. But when he said no, then that the servant, that the messenger took him to the office and give him an official notice to leave the Champaran immediately. Gandhi signed a receipt for the notice, wrote on it that he would disobey the order. Now, in that notice, that he said that I am not obeying this letter or notice and staying here. Now, in consequences, Gandhi received a summons to appear court in the next day. And when you are not following the laws and any notice, that is a summons आता है, that if you are when this is the court language, and in summons it was written that Gandhiji has to appear in a court in the next day. Okay, so we'll stop here, and in our next time we'll continue with the second part.